Jayden Daniels is in jeopardy of not playing on Sunday against the Raiders. Not a lot of specifics from the team other than day-to-day knee injury. He did have an MRI, but a lot of the reporting around it suggests that it is a sprained knee. We don't know what grade sprain it is, whether it's severe or moderate or insignificant. But the reporting has been a knee sprain that could potentially keep him out of the game Sunday against the Raiders. Remember last year, of course, we had the ribs. Remember last year in week 2 against the Giants when he took a big hit to the rib area and was forced to come out of the game for a play or two. I think it was Jeff Driscoll who was the backup that day that came in. Mariota was down. It was a big hit, and that was a scary thing given that it was game 2 of his career. And now we have this. So, look, Jayden Daniels coming out of LSU, to me, and I think a lot of people, there was one concern that outweighed all others, and I didn't really have any concerns except for this one. And that was, will his frame hold up in the NFL? Will he be able to protect himself? Will they be able to protect him with play calling, with an offensive line, with a run game, the whole thing? Because he did get banged up occasionally at LSU. And, he was a hyper-competitive, I'm going for it in a lot of situations. I talked a lot about that before the draft in 2024, that Jayden played on that team in 2023 at LSU that was truly among the worst Division I power school defensive teams in America. He knew that leaving the field meant he's going to be back on the field the next time down by at least another 7. So he really, did everything he could to keep that offense on the field. And by the way, most of the time it worked. And most of the time they were right there keeping pace, scoring with the opponent. And they won a lot of games, but they would have been a national championship contending team had the defense just been bad instead of truly horrific, which it was in 2023. Interesting to see LSU this year as a side note. They are dominant defensively, but really don't look that great offensively. Things change. We'll see how it plays out during the course of the year. But that was, for me, always the concern, and not knowing a lot about the personality and the person that he was other than what was coming out of LSU. You never know that from a fan position in terms of the kind of character that you're getting in a player. So we've now seen that we're in year 2 and there is an injury and there is the possibility of missing some time. Last year, he just ended up missing that Carolina game. He went out early, missed that game. It was a no-brainer, 42-19. Mariota played really well in relief, and then he was back the next week against Chicago, throwing a Hail Mary to win the game. There's a chance he'll play. I'll just reiterate what I said in the opening segment. I think that the tea leaves point to this being a concern, and that it's a knee, not ribs. Ribs, they'll tell you, always is more of a pain threshold thing. A knee is much different. I think we understand that as sports fans. I can't imagine they're going to let him go out there if there's any issue with the knee, if it's not fully 100%. And you heard Quinn, we played that sound coming into the show about all the markers he needs to hit before they'll let him back out onto the field. I think the secrecy over the weekend, until we heard from Quinn yesterday at 3:30, or, the reports that came out from Schefter and Rappaport's, shortly before the press conference, I think that speaks to, look, if he was totally fine, I think we would have heard he's totally fine. We didn't hear anything specific to the knee injury other than it's day-to-day. He had an MRI. It is the knee. They wouldn't say anything, Quinn wouldn't, about is it a sprain, what grade sprain it is, what did the MRI show. We've had to deal with the reporting on that. John Keim had that the MRI, according to sources, revealed no serious damage. That's the best news out of all of this. We're pretty sure we know what play it happened on early in the fourth quarter. A hit by number 20 after he was chased out of the pocket by Parsons, helmet to the knee. Although what's interesting is we didn't see him limp after that. You may say, well, why was he allowed to stay in the game if he hurt his knee on that play? He played the entire game. That meant a whole quarter if that was the first play of the fourth quarter. Well, it's very possible they didn't know that he was hurt on that play. He wasn't limping until he rolled his ankle late in the fourth quarter on that drive that made the score 27-18. Now, Jayden has to take less hits. I mean, simplifying it, he's got to get hit less. He's taking too many hits. Some of it's on him. Some of it's on other factors, like the offensive line. He got absolutely obliterated the other night in the pocket, more so than outside of it. And by the way, there's not much you can do about that with pocket passers, and he is that, as part of his overall offensive talent. He can really throw from the pocket. He can really deliver from the pocket, and quarterbacks that do that are going to take some hits. They're going to get hit after they throw it. And sometimes they're going to be awkward hits. Sometimes it's going to be a roll up on a leg or a knee. And we've seen that how many times during our years of watching football. But there are plays in which he shouldn't be getting hit. Context is everything. Let's talk about what I think needs to happen with Jayden Daniels moving forward. First of all, if you don't know this, he was the most hit quarterback last year in the NFL. And through 2 weeks of this season, he's been hit more often than any starting quarterback in the NFL. His frame, which is not a Josh Allen frame or a Lamar Jackson frame, I think if that continues to happen, if they don't figure out a way to reduce the number of times he gets hit, we're going to deal with this during his career. We're going to deal with, once or twice a year, Jayden's day-to-day. Hopefully that's all we're dealing with, and we're not dealing with something serious. So there's only so much you can do from the pocket. Quarterbacks, you want eyes to always be down the field. You want that quarterback to be protected. They went out and invested in protection for him, in Laramie Tunsil, who did not have necessarily a great game on Sunday. Nobody did on that offensive line Sunday. But it's all of the other stuff in which I would imagine they are examining, i.e., scrambling. Context is everything. Jayden goes for it a lot. He's hyper competitive. On 2nd and 6, it's in the second quarter. That's a different scramble intent than 4th and 8 in the fourth quarter, down 4. All right. He's got to pick his spots. Now, he doesn't go for it every single time. I'm not suggesting that he isn't discerning, that he hasn't, made wise decisions, but he's got to make those wise decisions all the time. Out of bounds sliding on scrambles. When in context, it's not do or die. Don't take unnecessary hits as a scrambler if you don't have to, based on score, time. Number 2, designed runs. As a quarterback quarterback, which he's very effective running QB draws, there's typically a lot of space to get down rather than take a big hit. Look, we saw it in that Cincinnati game. That was a scramble, not a quarterback draw. I mean, he went for a touchdown in a preseason game. He's lucky that there wasn't a young player out there trying to make the team that went for a big hit, a blow-up hit, a make-the-team hit. Nobody seemed to touch him. They thought he had a flag on him as he went into the end zone. So QB draws, opportunity to get down, opportunity to make good decisions. Other, sort of designed quarterback runs. Well, you've got what they run: quarterback counter, quarterback power, quarterback sweep. Those plays I've been talking about since game 1 last year when they ran them against Tampa in the opener. I personally think that they should avoid those because there isn't a place to slide because you're following blockers. Typically, those plays end in the field of play in a pile. Now, you can get to the outside, and if you're outnumbering the defense blocking-wise because you're 11 on 11 in the run game, there is the feeling like that's a really effective play with a quarterback like Jayden Daniels. I agree. But I think the odds are highest on that play that he's going to be tackled sometimes in a pile. Option runs, all right? Zone read, in particular. Those plays typically offer the opportunity for the quarterback to get to the sideline on a keeper or in the field of play to slide. If he's reading that play correctly, which he hasn't done consistently over the first 22 games of his career, that particular run allows, because it's on the edge, after you stick it in the running back's gut and pull it as the end crashes down, which is the way you're supposed to run it, you're on the edge. You've got a chance to get out. You've got a chance to slide if you turn it upfield. He's got to be more discerning on scrambles based on game context. He has to feel that way on quarterback draws as well. On the quarterback design stuff, in addition to the draws, I think that those plays should be few and far between because they are the highest probability of him being tackled in the field of play. And on zone reads, on option runs, he's got the opportunity more often than not to take a hit. This is on him. It's on the coaches, but it's really on him. And understanding, and as we all do, 4th and 8, fourth quarter, down 4, and he's back to throw, and he's scrambling, and there's a lot of traffic. He's got to go for it. You know, you only have 17 of these. You got to go win the game. We understand that. But, 1st and 10, first quarter, up 7-0 already, scrambling, you don't need to go into an area in which you're going to get hit. You don't have to, on a zone read, first quarter, up 7-0, decide to pull it and then, like he did against the Giants, not get out of bounds for maybe 2 less yards and instead turn it up the field and get crunched on the sideline. If that doesn't change, if he continues to get hit over and over again the way he has, we're going to miss some time with him, and he's going to be at risk. He's great. He is almost without flaw through 22 games. I mean, that's coming off probably the worst game of his career on Thursday night against the Packers. But availability is the best ability, as we know, and he's got to continue to grow and make sure that he is doing everything to stay available.